Okay, this is the recorded video for non-Mendelian genetics. So previously, it was discussed that Mendel or the other parts of inheritance concept was not figured out by Mendel. Last meeting, the Mendelian genetics was discussed to you, supported by the different video on about the Mendelian law. So let us recall now the laws of Mendel. First, we have the law of complete dominance. This explains that dominant allele in a heterozygous genotype completely masks the effect of the recessive allele. Okay, ibig sabihin, yung capital letter, it masks the effect of the recessive allele based on the phenotype. Now, in terms of law of segregation, may dalawang allele. They segregate randomly, and this happens during the formation of gametes. And on the law of independent assortment, there are two genes that will assort independently. So, if we're going to differentiate law of segregation from law of independent assortment, random goes with the segregation, and independent assortment goes with independent assortment and randomly. Okay. Uh, Pinagsama yung independent at random, okay, assortment under the law of independent assortment. Pero pag sa segregation, randomly lang ang separation ng alleles, no? Now, so Mendel laws are not perfect because people began to notice that not all traits are Mendelian. Hindi lahat ng traits na nakikita natin sa mga iba-ibang klase ng species are Mendelian. Some transmissions of traits do not follow Mendel laws. Okay. He was not actually wrong. Okay. His laws are correct of how genetic works, but in real life, it's more complicated than the piece na Mendel experimented. So, altering the Mendel's ratio, there were two different types of complication. The genotypic ratio follows Mendel laws, but the phenotypes do not. So, it's somehow the underlying genotype ratios are hidden. So, may mga genotypic ratios pa na hindi sumusunod sa Mendelian law. Yung dun sa Punnett square, dun sa monohybrid, dihybrid of the F1 and the F2, hindi lahat class susunod sa genotype ratio na ganon. So, Mendel laws do not apply. Hindi siya applicable sa genotypes and phenotypes that are not following. Kumbaga, if we're going to check it, there were only species that would follow the Mendel law. But obviously, hindi lahat ay susunod doon. Specifically, yung mga ibang genotype tsaka phenotype ng ibang species. Now, on the Mendelian genetics, when you talk about the complete dominance, mayroon lang dalawang posibleng phenotype, either dominant or recessive. Kumbaga, class walang gitna. So, tall plant, short plant, okay, will give you a tall plant. Okay, kumbaga, si dominant genes will only mask the recessive gene. So, parang ganun lang ang Mendelian genetics. And this is under complete dominance. Also, in Mendelian genetics of the sex-linked inheritance, genes for some traits are found on sex chromosomes. Most of these traits are recessive, while normal gene is dominant. So here we have a heterozygous female. Okay, these are carriers, and they do not show the trait, but they do carry the gene for the trait. So homozygous female have the trait, while the males with the gene of the XC or okay have the trait also, but they do not have another X to counteract the affected gene. Now, in terms of color blindness, this is a sex-linked recessive trait. The gene for this trait is inherited. Okay, paano siya namamana? Namamana siya through the X chromosome. So if you have the X chromosome, so you know that X chromosomes came from the mother, no? Okay, example, if a woman with a normal vision but carrier has a children with a man who is color blind, what are the chances that their children will be colorblind? Will any children be carries the trait, no? So by uh, doing the Punnett square, okay, so ito yung woman with a normal vision but carries the uh, but is a carrier, so represented siya class ng XX na pareho siyang may C. So alam natin ang XY goes for the male. Okay. So if you cross them, okay, there will be 50 chance of having colorblind kids. 50 chance lang. Okay. Now, next. So not all patterns of inheritance are based. So hindi lahat ay susunod sa complete dominance. Tulad ng ayan, blood group, color of flowers, color of the eyes. Okay, so we have several types of inheritance that Mendel never imagined. So these are, or all of these are actually under the non-Mendelian genetics. So ang dami, no? Yung pinakita ko sa video sa inyo, ilan lang yon. Yun yung pinaka-highlighted lang. But aside from those, we still have others, no? So, codominance and